Right. Are we ready for our ode to cinema? Our ode to the death to cinema episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Shall we just jump into it then?
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that this week is in mourning. Is in mourning because essentially we're calling it now for the rest of 2020. Netflix and Friends have won. Not for anything that they've did themselves, but just because of the coronavirus, COVID-19 means that, well, that's it. Cinemas are shut. What can we do? What can the film buffs like us do? My name is Tosin. I am based up in the Midlands near Coventry, and joining me on the Isle of Wight in two separate self-isolation booths, I must point out, are Sharon.
Hello.
And you already heard him a little bit, Shaun.
Hiya, guys. All right.
Yes, doing well. So this episode, we're not going to, because we know for the rest of the year, I pretty much think it's probably going to be the rest of 2020. Netflix is going to be the only game in town. Netflix, when Disney Plus comes up at the end of the month, Amazon Prime, that's going to essentially staying at home or watching things at home is going to be the only game in town. So
that's true.
So we have decided that this week we're not going to talk about any of that, and we're just going to talk about cinema, and we're going to talk about what this means. But so Shaun, I mean, I already heard you sort of like almost sort of. I heard the lament in your even though you just went nah. I heard the lament.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I heard they were shutting on Wednesday. I went to see. I went straight from work. I went to see Onward because the times were right. I came out of Onward. I had a quick munch of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Went back, watched The Mandalorian because they had a special showing of the first episode, and then came out, grabbed a cup of coffee, went in, saw Bloodshot. So
that is above and beyond, I think.
Well, I just saw. I felt sorry for all the staff there. They were all like, I don't know, they not sure what's happening to them because they're all 0-hour contracts and what have you. Yeah. So I had a little chat with them for a while, and wow, there you go. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite gutted, to be fair, And I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen with our cards. Hopefully we get some sort of refund or some sort of credit. Or I don't suppose you know, Sharon, do you?
I haven't heard anything. No, I haven't got an email about it.
Oh, well, okay.
So yes.
This is weird because both of you have Cineworld Unlimited cards, and I've got an Odeon Limitless card just based on the cinemas that are close to us. And Odeon actually sent me an email saying we are suspending all payments. So as long as this thing goes on, we're not going to, because I was already looking at it going, well, if they're closing cinemas, I'm not paying $17.99 a month for nothing. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to cancel this thing. But Odeon, who are apparently reading my mind and sent something, I just went, that's it, we're suspending all payments. We will not be taking any payments from you whatsoever as long as this thing lasts. As long as the cinemas are shut, we're suspending membership. Yeah.
I know. I don't know what it would be with Cineworld. They're a bit of a strange bunch, aren't they?
They're all strange bunches. I mean, because this is the problem. This is the problem is that I find with this whole thing is it is a weird situation that we have not experienced anything. Well, people like us, we haven't experienced it. I'd imagine that during wartime, like the Second World War in Britain, that it would have been a similar thing where it's like, all right, everybody, you need to stop thinking about yourself and you need to start thinking about others. And you have to have this sort of collective spirit, of collective idea of what to do. I imagine that's what it had to be like. And that's what it's getting to. But at the same time, this capitalism is just so much more advanced. So you have all these businesses that are, and I think it's within their rights to still be trying to make money while they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So they're still trying to say, okay, cool, can we still make money? Can we still take your money from you, and is there something we can still offer you that would be okay for you to give us your money? Because as we said last week, it's looking like I don't think some cinema chains are going to survive this. I really don't think.
No, I don't. No, I know.
Yeah, because
could be the death of cinema, couldn't it?
I think definitely it will be the death of some cinema chains. I think there are some companies that have too much money, namely Disney, to let cinema die. They will start up their own chain. if need be. They'll go and buy a whole bunch of defunct things. Because especially even my local Odeon, they've just spent a whole bunch of money. This is the Odeon in Nuneaton. They spent a whole bunch of money renovating the place and making sure that all the seats were like, electronic recliners and all that. And now it's just...
My God.
Yeah, I know. And it's just empty. And it's not making any money whatsoever. It is, oh, good Lord. It is so sad. It's so sad. And the worst thing about it is like it's not like there was somebody who was embezzling or anything. This is just nobody saw this coming. Nobody figured this out. No, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah,
It's
totally
completely
bonkers,
unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, Shaun, what was that?
It's completely unprecedented, and there's no end date. I mean, with normally other things, you've got an end date, or you've got you don't know what the world will look like at the other side of this, really.
Yeah, we have no clue. We have absolutely no clue. It's just open-ended.
That's it.
And it's global, so it's going to affect the production of film and the production of drama for the next year. Easily, you can see that anything that's not in already in production or in post-production is probably not going to be seeing the light of day for the next... Wow, it's going to be at least a year, I think, before they go into full-scale production again, isn't it? Just for safety of their cast and crews.
Well, yeah, it's because even with... because obviously I make videos for small businesses, and obviously what you've just mentioned is happening to me on a much smaller scale. So from last week, I already started getting so people canceling things for me to film with them, saying sorry, go to self-isolate. And so if I filmed something and I have it here, I can start editing it. But the stuff that I hadn't filmed yet, I hadn't gone around to, that's just not going to happen for a while. So it's all a bit up in the air. But then again, it was probably a good thing that they cancelled it, because chances are that I might actually have this COVID-19 thing.
Do you think so? What makes you say that, Toes?
Oh, my temperature went up Monday night. My temperature went up Monday night. Started feeling really ill, and living with a doctor, working and thinking, oh, I cannot infect her. I just sort of went and locked myself up in the office. And I was hopeful that, okay, it might just be one of these things. Sometimes when you go out there and you do, like I've been cycling out in the cold, and sometimes that has a weird effect on me. I was like, maybe we'll just pass over by the morning. Woke up in the morning and I was like, no, oh, rubbish, no, this hasn't passed. This is still here. So
oh dear.
So we've started our 14 days.
Where do you think you might have got it from?
Well, I didn't have a car for a couple of days, and I had to start going on public transport. And that is, let me be honest with you, right? I'm going to be honest with you right now. I'm a bit paranoid about everything. So this is probably my paranoia speaking. I think it was public transport. I think that's what did it. Because if you're in your, I could actually feel myself anytime I left the house anytime I left the house and I sat down anywhere that had anything that was where I was going to be in public for a while. I could feel myself just getting anxious. I'm going, oh my God, I've got to leave. I can't be hanging around these people for this long. I don't know where they've been. I don't know what they've got.
It is. I'll tell you what, though, Toes, and you say that, but it does make you paranoid. I mean, I coughed once today, and I thought, oh no. And
I know.
Like, you're like everything, and it's probably nothing. But you just think, oh my God. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's like you're not allowed to have any other illness, because anytime you have anything, you think, oh my God, is this that? So even now at the moment, there's bits of it that there's bits of what happening with like my temperature going up and down, which are textbook, but I'm not coughing, so that isn't textbook to what they said the symptoms are supposed to be. I have this weird stomach thing where which I haven't heard in any things where they say, oh yeah, if you have COVID-19, then you have an upset stomach. I haven't heard anything like that. But there's also bits where, because I have quite severe hay fever at this time of year, and I feel like that's beginning to start, and it's beginning to sort of piggyback on. So it's kind of like, oh, is that a COVID-19 thing, or is that just hay fever? And quite frankly, the fact is, I'm not sick enough to have to go to any hospital, and I'm hoping I won't be sick enough. I'm hoping that after 14 days, I'll be fighting fit once again. But yeah, it's all a bit crazy, all a bit crazy. So right, anyway, we So this week we said that what we're going to sit down, so we're just going to have like a bit of a chat about what was the last film that you saw in the cinema. And Shaun, you already gave us a little bit of an insight into what you did. That when you heard it was going to shut, you actually went, "No, that's it. I'm going to make sure I actually see some films there before I go." Yeah, I would have done that, but I was already in lockdown by then.
Yeah.
So
that's it, really.
And I just didn't.
Shaun just went, "Nope, that's it. Military Wives will be the last thing I see in the cinema."
Yeah. That'd be my epitaph.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
But you have seen Kingdom. I watched. I think
on Netflix. Yeah.
Have you seen the whole lot? Got the whole 6 episodes?
Oh, you have. The whole 6, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to do any spoilers because I've only seen the first 2
far.
No,
we're not doing any Netflix today.
Oh, right, okay. All right, okay. That's cool then.
Netflix is going to have more than enough of a. It's going to have it's going to have the whole playground to itself for a long time.
That's true.
So we're not doing any Netflix today. I mean, with all due respect, I love you, but screw you, Netflix.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good.
So
cinema we like.
We're just going to talk. We're just going to talk cinema. We're just going to talk cinema. Talk about what it's like. We'll talk about the films we saw. Talk about how much we're going to miss it, and I'm guessing how much you just really, really hope that at some point we can get back in there. But so okay, let's. This is going to be all over the place. It's going to be a bit scatterbrained, a bit like me at the moment. So Shaun, let's kick off with Onward. You went to see Onward after I spoke about it. What did you think?
I did, yes. Yeah, do you know what, Tosin? I have to agree with you. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. I thought it was it was really different and really new, wasn't it? It was a really sort of bold concept. I think.
Yeah.
You know, it was. I liked the ideas behind it, and I thought, you know, I don't know. Yeah, the ending was. It's just like, yeah. Do you know? It was.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean, man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I have to say everything that we said on the other podcast, I totally agree with you. I mean, a major 4-star, you know. Yeah.
Oh, and also, I'll tell you one other thing I'm thinking that we should do this week. Because these things that we've seen in the cinema, I know that they've said today that they're going to be, Universal is going to be trying to do some sort of home release thing for a lot of these films that didn't get that long in the cinema. But quite frankly, the fact is, like something like Onward, as good as it is, we don't know when people are going to get to see it. So we don't know when people are going to get to see it. We don't know what the plan is with that. So I am thinking, and if you don't like spoilers, I would say you might want to avoid this. I'm thinking that we don't care about spoilers today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why not? Yeah. Spoilers.
Shaun, what do you think?
We could.
Yeah, I'm okay with the spoiler zone.
I think we don't care about spoilers today. I think we just talk about how good these films are and enjoy them.
Let's face it, by the time they get to watch these films, no one's going to remember anyway. If they have to wait for them to be released on whatever platform.
Yeah, the 25 people or so who listen to this, none are going to remember. So Shaun, carry on what you're saying about Onward. I mean, if you want to talk about it,
I mean,
I'm releasing the shackles, Shaun. Go.
Oh, that's cool. Okay then. Yeah, I mean, I like this straight from the start. As I say, the relationship between the you know, you don't think really until it gets towards the end of the film, the relationship between the two brothers. Yeah. You know, and you can see him thinking back, and there's all the paraphernalia. He thinks back to all the photos that are in his home and where he's been. And it's sort of, did you see that coming when you watched it first away? Did you see that coming?
Oh, okay. So
you saw the end coming with the brothers.
So we're talking about the film. To be honest with you, I didn't see it coming because this is the film.
No, I didn't either.
What essentially they do in the film is that they cast this spell to bring their dad back for a day. It goes wrong the first time, so only half the dad shows up. So it's just the bottom half of the dad. So they spend most of the film walking around with a pair of legs.
Yeah, which I mean the little dance sequence and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and you know, he's got like a to-do list, doesn't he? He's got the stuff when he gets the time to spend with his dad.
Yeah.
This is what he wants to do. He wants to spend time, wants to have a chat with him, wants to dance, wants to laugh.
Yeah.
And he thinks back, and he's sort of, even though it's a pair of legs, he's done all those things, you know, with someone that that
because
loves him and has looked out for him.
Yeah, you have the two brothers. And one of them never met the dad. Like the mom was pregnant when the dad died. And so he's the one who really, really wants to meet this. And I thought what was going to happen, and quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought, okay, they're going to go for a cheesy ending, and there's going to be some loophole in the whole thing where, don't worry, because you only completed the spell at this point, you're going to get another day, and you're going to get a whole other day with your dad. And I thought it was going to be something like that, but what I really like is that Pixar were like, no, there's actual stakes here. You have 24 hours, and at the end of the film is towards the end of this 24 hours, and the sun's going down, and then they end up having to make a decision where essentially only one of them is going to get to see their dad. And
that's right.
Yeah, what you're talking about, Shaun, is the fact that one of them actually says, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, you never got a chance to say goodbye to him. Oh, good Lord, I'm almost tearing up now.
That's it. Yeah, I know. I tell you, I talk about it. Yeah, because
they're
I'm
talking seriously
about
almost
things.
tearing up right now.
Yeah, he says to his Danny. I mean, he's talking about it in an earlier time. He said they're talking about the brothers. They're there. They're talking about things, and he said, "Oh, I did." He goes, "I've only got one bad memory about Dad."
Yeah.
And it's like, but I mean, that was earlier on, and you think, "Oh, right." And he says, "I don't really." And then a bit later on in the film, he does say, I wish I'd have said goodbye, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know it's odd, isn't it?
Essentially, I think it's just Pixar are brilliant at storytelling, and it's just a very well told story. It's like nothing gets wasted. So anything that gets said earlier in the film gets pulled up and used again later. And the bit that I thought that you would really like is in the final battle, how they didn't just bring out some magical, ooh, look, we have this big bazooka that we haven't spoken about for the whole film, and that's going to save us. But it was everything that they had learnt during the course of their quest. That's what was brought out in that final fight. And I love the way they did that. I love the way they did. So, yeah. So, Sharon, if you ever get a chance, I don't know when, how, what... It's Disney, and they are annoying with their vaults. They tend to lock everything up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Disney just went, you know what, we're just gonna lock ourselves down and hunker down until this whole thing blows over. Then we're gonna show up with all of our money and buy everybody.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, with the Mandalorian, they showed loads of. They had a really, really good trailer about the Disney
Plus.
What they call it. Disney Plus, and they were just plugging it all the time, like every film, the superhero films, all the cartoon, everything like that. They were plugging it all the way through. So
tell me about this. So the Mandalorian. So obviously we know this is the big Star Wars TV show that is.
But there's the Baby Yoda thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I know about it.
Yeah, he's little Baby Yoda, 500 years old.
Yes. So
they age it different. They age it. Some of the alien species, they age differently.
So. Yeah, it makes sense. So the Mandalorian is obviously, you have Disney Plus coming out at the end of this month. Disney don't care. They're like, yeah, because we're going to go ahead with this thing because we're going to get your money anyway, and you're going to be in a hole. What are you going to be doing? So they had a preview screening of the first episode. Was this a Cineworld wide thing or what?
Well, it was just unlimited. It did say an unlimited showing.
Okay, so people with
unlimited card
cards.
holders.
Yeah,
but it wasn't just. It was really, really plugging the Disney Plus. They showed little bits of the Clone Wars. Well, they showed a little section of. They said, "Oh, we're gonna new series of the Clone Wars," and they showed a bit of the Clone Wars, and then they must have had this montage of Disney movies for maybe that lasted 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So you had all the Marvel, and then you had all the brands: Disney, Marvel. What else do they own?
It's going to be Disney. There's going to be a Marvel strand, a Pixar strand.
Pixar, that's it.
Yeah, and National Geographic as well.
National Geographic, yeah. So, and I have to say, it was pretty impressive.
It is.
I think with the Mandalorian, it was more of a promotion of Disney Plus, I reckon.
It's like, come to the cinema. Well, on your last day in the cinema, come to the cinema and let's tell you what you can go watch at home.
That's it. And of course, on the big screen where you've got all the everything from Marvel superheroes to National Geographic. Do you know what I mean? They really, really plugged it. So
yeah.
And perhaps perhaps they started this whole. No, I shouldn't say. Perhaps they started this Coriolanus thing so they can take over the world. Disney, eh?
Look, the thing is, like, to be honest with you, at the moment, I know there's conspiracy theories out there, and I'm refusing to look at any of them because it's just one of these. There's going to be conspiracy theories. The second something like this comes in, you're like, oh, there's going to be conspiracy theories. It's just the same way. The same way. I know. I remember last week we were talking about Nigerian churches for some reason. I do not remember how we ended up on that.
I know.
I don't remember how we ended up on Nigerian churches, but it was the same way that I knew that there was going to be some idiot in a Nigerian church somewhere that was going to come out and say something along the lines of, "Don't worry, God has spoken to me and told me that none of you, as long as you're part of this church, are going to catch it." So the same way I knew that was going to happen. The same, and my dad has sent me a video of exactly that. It is so annoying. But it's
really,
Shaun, I can't explain how annoying it is. I can't explain how annoying it is. As a Nigerian and as a Christian, it is so annoying. But anyway, the same way that there's going to be a heck of a lot of conspiracy theories as to how this thing came about, as to why it came about, as to who is going to benefit from this virus being around. And I've just started one, haven't I? Disney. Let's be honest. Some people are going to benefit from it. There are people who are going to benefit from it, and it's already. I mean, there's
Amazon.
Amazon, Netflix. They're going to benefit from it. All the things that you can only do when you're at home, they're going to benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a remote working app called Zoom, Skype, Google Hangouts, WebEx. They're all going to benefit from it. So there's going to be conspiracy theories as to why. Oh, maybe they did this. Maybe they went and created this thing in the lab so we could actually do this. But hey, anyway, but we'll do that. So anyway, let's get back to film. What you saw of The Mandalorian? Does it make you want to see more?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
definitely. It's class. It was like how can I put it? Reminded me very, very much of a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western, very much updated, and the Mandalorian even talks like Clint Eastwood.
All right.
It's just like, when he goes into a bar and there's loads of people in the bar and all that, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got a bounty for you," because they're like Mandalorians are like bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they're really, really good bounty hunters. It says, "Oh yeah, well I've only got this one. You have to," and unless you want more. So basically, obviously, the first part is him getting some bounties, and they got the old freezing cubes like they had Han Solo.
Carbonite.
Yeah, that's it, carbonite. Anyway, and then he goes, "What have you got this expensive?" "Well, I got this job, unless you've got to get this alien species." I mean, I don't think it's too much in the way of spoilers because. It's pretty much a spaghetti western, so they're going on a mission.
You see, this is the thing. I thought that this would be right up your alley because it's pretty much a spaghetti western in the Star Wars universe. So okay. The question I'm just going to ask Shaun is: so, did you prefer this to The Rise of Skywalker?
Oh yes, very, very much so. Oh yes, yes, much. This was far, far superior. It was, it was really, really well done. I couldn't fault it very much. And there's a long scene in it where there's this like battle droid thing, which is another bounty hunter, and he goes, "Oh, we've got to team up with this battle." The battle droid was pretty impressive, all that bounty hunter. He goes, "Hey, I'm one of you." So they sort of team up to take on hundreds of people. Reminded me a bit of Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef in For a Few Dollars More, where they take on Indio's band. So yeah, it was very much. It was basically a spaghetti western, western with bigger guns and spacecraft instead of horses. Although there was a thing like there was a scene horses where like these creature things which are like horses but not horses, but they need to be broken in. And obviously you get all these old characters along the way, oh yeah, just leave me I forget what they're called, those things, but they're like little hoppy horse things, that are quite violent and need taming. So you got that bit as well. So basically, yeah, it's a quest,
Oh, okay.
But yeah, really, really good.
All right. Now, Sharon.
Yeah, sorry, Sharon, you said nothing, have you? Let me come in here.
No, I'm still here. I was listening because obviously I've grown up with my all my cinema going life has been. It started with the Star Wars film, the first one in 1977. My first one I saw at the cinema. So I have grown up literally with the Star Wars phenomena, and through all the cinema incarnations, the ups and downs, and now it's sort of moving on to a new phase of its existence. So taking advantage of these different platforms. So it's interesting to hear how, the Mandalorian is sort of like just carrying that torch forward for another generation, really.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Sharon, what I was actually going to ask about was to move on from that, was to talk about your last cinema viewing experience. So we reviewed the film last week, but yeah, and I think at the time when we recorded last week, we pretty much had this idea that we think that this very soon we're not going to be able to go to the cinema. That cinema is going to be shut and all that. So if someone was to tell you that was the last film that you saw in the cinema, would you be happy with it?
Yeah, I think I left on a high because I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a very emotional film. This was Military Wives, is the last film I saw. I'm glad that it was a British film because I do like to support my British cinema.
Yeah.
And it was a cast I knew, and it was a story I knew. So all those elements were there. So yes, I don't regret that was the last film I saw. I might have been happier had it been Emma, because I thought Emma was particularly outstanding as a film.
Yeah.
As for this year, I mean, but as a sort of a last sort of nod to cinema for the time being, Military Wives was a good one to go out on. It wasn't just that one note that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be, hey girls, let's sing a song and be just like summer holiday, but on a military base.
Yeah.
It was there was much more sort of depth to it than I was anticipating, and it wasn't just about singing, and the Military Wives choirs aren't just about singing. They're about supporting each other. They're about joint community. They're about all the things we need to be learning about at the moment, is about how you can support each other
I was thinking exactly that. I was thinking it. When you said that, I was like, oh, it sounds like we need a little bit of that right now.
Yeah. So it was pertinent to the times we live in.
Yes.
And there's ramping, even though we've got this coronavirus sort of rampaging around the world, military tensions. We've had a couple of deaths in Iraq, haven't we? This recently, a British serviceman injured, a soldier was killed, and then some American service people have been killed. So tensions are ramping up again. So we could be in that situation again, where we are watching those flag-draped coffins come back. So it's a timely reminder to say, we can look back at the Afghanistan sort of conflict and think, oh, we're glad that's over. But we've got another one probably looming on the horizon that will bring us back into those places. So we need to find any means we can of helping the people who live through that to get through it.
Yeah, it does. You see, this is the problem, right? Because usually this podcast is just something where we're just like, it's all well and cool. We're just being silly. We're just talking about films and all this other stuff, and it's usually like an escape. And I think like something like this has just meant that it's affected absolutely every area of life, this virus, and it means that you can't just talk about something and ignore the problems or ignore the effects. Like, Sharon, you're a Walking Dead fan.
Yeah.
And there's bits about this that I feel we're going to end up with a Walking Dead type situation where if we do have a lockdown, there's still people who are going to be going out on the streets and they're going to be trying to rule the streets. Because
zombies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like...
I mean, this is... Do you know what? Something, Tosin, this is something I've been preparing for, or not so much the virus, but the zombie holocaust. I've been... So... Who knows?
So what have you got? Have you got a go bag?
I've got a bag to go. Yeah, I've got sort of different safe houses where I can go and all prepare. All ideas where I can go. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm ready for Holocaust, but I don't think this is quite that.
No. So if you were in America, would you be one of those people going and buying a gun?
Well, I've got this thing, and I always think with zombie films. I mean, and I asked a lot of people questions. This I was up with in the office, and I said, "So if it was a zombie holocaust, would you rather have a baseball bat, a pump-action shotgun with 200 rounds, or a machete?" And
Machete.
you know, you'd have a machete, would you?
Yeah.
I'd probably go for the baseball bat.
I think I'll go for the baseball bat.
Because a machete could probably break quite. You know,
It depends if it's properly tempered steel or not. But yeah,
Oh, well,
I think.
Go on. Sorry, Shaun.
Yeah, sorry, Sharon. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I would just go with the blade, but yes, I think a baseball bat it's got heft and swing. So yeah.
That's it. But then someone said, well, if you had the shotgun, you could use it as a club afterwards. But I think if you used it too much, it'd probably break after a while, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it gets too hot and it's too noisy.
And it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't work as a club. And by the time all your rounds were out and you tried to use it as a club, you don't have any practice at using this thing as a club. So,
that's it.
And if you have been using it, you cannot hold a barrel of a shotgun having been shooting with it.
No, that's true enough. So,
yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, I need a little bag of tricks. You would not have been
out there going and buying a gun then, because someone said, I haven't seen it myself, but someone was saying on the internet that some these gun shop owners are saying, hey, it's been great for us because they've sold out. Their shops have just been cleaned out.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Yeah. Would not be surprised at all. And the funny thing is, I was speaking to superfan Nina earlier today, and we're talking about the fact that if you've ever read World War Z, we're like, oh,
yes, I have.
Good Lord, this is. You're looking and going, I think Max Brooks might be a prophet.
Yeah.
But
it's funny, I was thinking the different ways we react is about stockpiling. I went in the supermarket thinking, I wonder if they've got any like runner bean seeds or like beetroot so I can start my garden off. And they were all gone. So everyone else was thinking, okay, if I'm stuck at home, I'm going to do my garden, do my veg patch. But they were all gone. There literally was just like radishes left. And it's like, yeah, a few radishes go a long way. Let's tell me that in the garden. Yeah. So it was quite funny how we respond differently. And I'm not sure if Max Brooks talked about buying seeds and stuff at the beginning of World War Z, but
no,
the deadhead.
No, I don't think he did. It was just like run, try and find a way.
Yeah, he also wrote the Zombie Survival Guide.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I've got that as well.
Oh, yeah, I've read that. That's quite cool, actually. Tells you all about the ones that walk under the water and stuff. And gives you all what I like about it is he says about years like that, all the different outbreaks there were, like in ancient Assyria and places like that. Which, this could be something along those lines, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Except they won't shamble towards you; they just cough. Yeah. Oh no! Get away! Quick! Hit them with the baseball bat.
Well, okay. Shaun, I promise not to come anywhere close to you. Just keep your baseball bat, all right? Keep your baseball bat. I won't come there close. I won't bring my high temperature close to you. I won't bring my developing cough close to you. I promise. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So so that was that, and now it's funny, right? It's funny, right? That there was one of the last films I saw before cinemas shut was a film called Little Joe, which was a preview screening that they had, and it is really, really weird how, when you feel like there's something in the water, and this will sort of like kick off like, people's conspiracy theories and all that.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is it's a film about a research center somewhere in the UK. It's about a research center somewhere in the UK, and a lady is there, and she's like recently been hired, and she starts developing this plant. And the whole idea about this plant is that when people sniff it, it's supposed to make them happy. But she has cut some corners to get this plant to do what it wants, and so she goes in there, and people are like, "Oh, how did you do this? How did you do this?" And they've done a whole bunch of things where like there's a whole bunch of people who work there who are not quite happy with it. They're like, "No, that's not natural." Like she's made the plant sterile, for instance. They're like, "How did you do this quickly?" She's like, "Oh, I just did blah blah." And they're like, "No, that doesn't make any sense," because there's people who, like her supervisor is convinced that she might have done something that's illegal to get this plant to that point. And then and as the film carries on, it turns out that whenever people sniff the flower, sniff the pollen from the flower, it does make them happy, but it looks like it also does something else to them. So everybody who sniffs this flower, the first person who sniffs it is a dog, and the dog's owner, she's like, that's not my dog anymore. That's not my dog doesn't act like that. Why did my dog bite me? That is not my dog. She puts the dog down because she's like, that flower did something weird to that dog. And people keep saying, do you notice that everybody who sniffs this flower, there's a subtle change in their character? And the woman, because obviously this is like her baby, this is the thing that she's been working on for years. She's like, no, I didn't say it. I didn't notice anything. No, what are you talking about? That's silly. That doesn't make any sense. But obviously, if that was really the truth, and if there was nothing in there wouldn't really be a film in there. So essentially what you have in this flower is that this flower is pretty much, in the pollen, is a bit of a virus. And whenever anybody sniffs the pollen of this flower, it affects their brain. And it's almost this sort of like nature nurture thing, and it talks about the fact that because this plant has been made sterile, the plant is fighting like hell to stay alive. So every time somebody sniffs it, it affects their brain and makes that the most important thing in their life is protecting this flower and making sure that more of this flower gets planted. And
wow,
yeah. Yeah, and little by little, the scientist who made it, who's played by a lady called Emily Beecham, little by little, she starts realizing, like, for instance, her boss who is dead set against her. Like, at the beginning of the film, her refrain is, he's out to get me, Carl's out to get me, he wants to get me, he doesn't want me to do. And then all of a sudden, she goes to him and she's like, I made a mistake, this is what I did. And he's like, oh, well, I guess we all have to make advances. We all have to make sacrifices for advancement of science. Don't worry, it'll be fine. And then she starts thinking, oh my word, what is going on? And the fact is that she's also taken this plant, and she's taken one home for her son, because her son is Joe. And that's why she called the plant Little Joe. She named it after her son. And she's taken one home. So there's one in her house with her son breathing this thing in and all that stuff. And this is one of the creepiest films I have seen recently. It is so creepy. The score is nerve jangling. Like, the score is so unsettling. And I don't notice scores in films that often, but the score in this, there's no way you can't not notice it. It like creeps up your neck, and the music just lets you know something bad. And you're like, no.
It sounds great. Sounds really good.
Sean, I think you'd like it. Because it's kind of, let me put it this way, there's few films I've seen that have made a shot of a row of flowers look so ominous. It's like, it's
like the birds taking it every day and making it a bit like, uh-oh.
Exactly. Also, it helps that the plant doesn't quite look normal. The plant doesn't quite look normal, but because the monster in this creature is not like, it's a bit like them, but them also, you had giant ants, so those actually moved and did stuff. But this just sits there, and every now and then bristles, and then flowers, and then this comes out. And it is just so creepy. The film is so creepy. And it is so, and I think the thing about it is that the science behind it makes sense. And you're watching this thing. My brother has this theory that British films, he's like, if you have a sci-fi movie, if it's going to have a depressing ending, it's going to be British. So,
yeah.
So remember he saw the film Life, which is all about people discovering this new life form on Mars and all that. He saw it, and when he saw the ending, he called me up and he was like, Tosin, is this a British film? That ending tells me it's a British film. Because the ending of Life, quite frankly, is mega, oh my word, we are all dead.
Oh dear.
Yeah, we're all dead. And so this film, like, it's going towards the end and you're thinking, and even though everything about this film tells you, well, it's set in England, it's going to be, and but the picture that they paint in this film is just so bleak that you're hoping for a Hollywood ending. I found myself hoping for a totally unrealistic Hollywood ending where Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up with a flamethrower and burns everything. I'm like, I don't care. I will take that right now. Even though I think I could see the ending that's coming, and even after the ending comes, there is still like a little bit of a coda right after what you think is the inevitable that's going to happen. Then right after that, there's another bit that they put in there that actually made me hold my head in my hands. I was like, oh my God, no. Oh my God, no. And also the fact that I watched this during while in the midst of this whole coronavirus, COVID-19 thing, I was like, oh, good Lord. It's like, it was like, there's some things that as humans, we're just not equipped to deal with. And yeah, so it's a really good film. And because it's one of those smaller films that I think will show up on a streaming service before long, because nobody was expecting that to be a blockbuster. So I would say when you get a chance, Little Joe, watch it. Shaun, I think you would really, really like it. Sharon,
it does sound my sort of film.
It really, really does. I mean, I never saw it, but like Phase 4. Where they say something like, oh, there's something with the ants, or what's it with the ants, or the ants going to do something, and it's one of those sort of films where it's essentially about this bad guy that most people cannot see and therefore write off. And the genius thing about the bad guy in this film is that what it does is to make you feel like is to make you think it doesn't exist. So everybody who sniffs this flower, they don't think there's anything wrong with them. They don't think, they're like, whoa, what's the problem with you? I'm happy. Of course, I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be happy? Why would you want? And it's very good film, very, very good film. And also, I would say that it also means that Ben Whishaw is in the film as well as a love interest of the main character. I can't remember anybody's names in this film apart from one lady whose name was Bella because her dog was called Bello. But yeah, I think I was just scared for everybody I saw on screen. Oh yeah, Ben Whishaw, he's building himself quite a nice little tract of sort of like, quiet menace, almost as like,
yeah,
you know how he was in David Copperfield, where he's quiet.
Uriah Heep. Yeah,
he plays Uriah Heep, but he brings this kind of like, he's harmless, he's all that. Then when he shows his teeth, it's like, and the arc that he takes in this film, it's just this quiet. Oh my God, there's something. And it builds up to this one moment.
Something not right.
Yes. It builds up to this one moment that is shocking. It is very mundane. Well, I say it's mundane in that, from a cinematic point of view, it's mundane. It isn't like, a big deal isn't made out of it or anything like that. But this moment is just shocking when it happens. You're like, oh my God. Whoa. So yeah, even when you get a chance, watch it. But as I said, be warned, the score is crazy. The score is so unsettling. The score just puts you on edge.
What sort of instruments do they use, do you reckon?
Now, I think that the score of this film is. I think I read something somewhere. I might be mixing up stories, but to be honest with you, right now with my temperature and everything like that, there's some times where I'm finding it hard to say what's actually happening and what I dreamt, because everything is kind of like blowing into one another. But I think it's actually an old Japanese composer who did this. So there are, and I think it's music from the 70s or something like that. So it does sound like there's some Japanese instrumentation in there, but it's very discordant and very well. It sounds like there's some strings in there. Then also just going, and I honestly cannot describe it. You have to listen to it. I mean, it might be on YouTube or something if you look for Little Joe score or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I might check that out then.
Yeah, but honestly, this is a film that I have never come out of a film going, all right, the score is the freakiest thing about that film. That score is going to give me nightmares. All right. So anyway, Shaun, let's get back to, I think this was the final film that you actually saw in the cinema. And this was
the last one.
Bloodshot. And this tells
Bloodshot.
you that, the fact that this is the final film you saw in the cinema tells me everything that I need to know about your dedication to cinema and your dedication to the Cineworld staff who work on the Isle of Wight, and how much you wanted to support them and show support for them by going to watch a film. Because everything about this film says Shaun will hate this. So
it does, and everybody told me. They said, "Oh, you don't like the Fast and Furious. You won't." blah blah. Everyone said no, I'm not bothered to see it. Anyway, I have to say the cinema was deserted because it was a late show, and obviously it was like a 9 o'clock showing, and so there was no one. There was no one in there. It was quite weird, really. I'll have to send you a photo because I actually took a photo of me. So
yeah, send it through, man.
So you were the last person in the last screening at the last opening of the cinema.
Maybe, yeah.
You were like the Omega Man.
Yeah, I'd be like 28 days later. I was expecting to come out and it just be like the whole place, like no one around, and then walk in the car park. Yeah, hello. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, so anyway, I'll tell you about this. Yes, everything about this movie says it should be one that I hate, didn't it?
It's got Vin Diesel in it. It's got the kind of premise, which
Fast
is
and Furious vibe.
The premise of it is that he's dead, but then they bring him back with nanobots in his blood, and he becomes a superhero pretty much. And that's that's pretty much it. It's based on a comic, a comic character. Obviously, with superheroes being. In fact, there's a thing on tonight with Mark Kermode that I'm probably going to end up watching on BBC 4. So I'll probably watch that because Mark Kermode is doing superhero movies. So that's probably one of my things. Well, anyway, Poacher's film. Yeah, he's a comic book character, and he's like a Marine. And it starts off he's obviously rescuing this hostage thing, and what happens, and then he gets kidnapped. They kidnap his wife. It's the first few minutes of the film. He's with his wife. It's a bit cheesy, all lovey-dovey, and then. We know all that.
Sorry, go on, Toast.
I was going to say we know all that. That's in the trailer. Even without seeing the trailer, we know all that. They're going to do that.
I haven't seen the trailer. I never saw the trailer for this. But anyway, okay. So anyway, but yeah. So we're talking conspiracy theories here. There's obviously something's not quite right. Yeah. So you go. Guy Pearce is in it, and I like Guy Pearce.
All right.
And he's like this suit. He's like a super nanotech. Well, he's not. He's got people that work for him. And
is he essentially playing the same guy he played in Iron Man 3?
Yeah, similar sort of role. Yeah. And you got these other people in it, like you got like a woman that can stay underwater, and you got a guy that's like super fast, and so you got like a little team. But yeah, there's. Could this be spoilerific?
Go for it. I don't.
Okay.
Because I feel like I know what's going to happen in this film. So
that's it. Yeah. Well, basically, so what they do is he goes through this same scenario. They keep waking him up because he keeps getting killed, and they keep waking him up. And basically, they give him slight memories of what happened with his wife, because his wife obviously killed and that. And they more or less program him to kill people. He's got like this kill list. And so what they do, the person who killed his wife, they morph, like they can do it. They go, all right, okay, because they're programming his brain. They say, okay, let's put on this face, and they put on the face of someone who they want to kill. So of course he says, well, I'm going after him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to finish him. So off he goes.
Because that person killed my wife.
Because that person killed my wife, yeah. So and he's done this to quite a lot of people, because you see this like little kill list with them all crossed off, and there's a couple left. But the one that's left, there's obviously there's this underground techie boy that manages Vin Diesel. Finally figures out what's happening, and they send the other superheroes after him, and there's some massive big crash bang action scenes and stuff.
So far, this is exactly what I thought. And then there's a big thing, and it goes into a revenge thing, and then you go towards the end, and there's a big, massive CG fight, and then
that's it. Yeah,
and then there will be a sting that says, "Ooh, come back for the sequel."
I've got to ask Sharon something, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. Have you ever seen Max Headroom, Sharon? Do you remember there was an 80s program called Max Headroom?
Yes, I used to watch. Yeah, I used to watch that.
Yeah, I used to watch that, but with the actual film where you've got like Bryce, you've got like two people trying to outfox each other on the computers.
I saw the film back in the day. Before.
Do you remember?
That's
how he got Max Headroom. Yeah. Well, it's very much like this. So you've got two techie guys all trying to sort of, do you know what I mean? The bit where they're all trying to do different things when they're so as well as the action scenes going on, they're also trying to fight each other in cyberspace, if you like, or whatever. So yeah, it had very much a Max Headroom vibe about it. And do you know what, Toes?
Yep.
Do you know what? It wasn't too bad.
I
don't know if it was just that I was thinking, well, might be the last thing I see at the cinema for a long, long time. So perhaps I saw it through rose-tinted glasses, but it was okay. It was okay. You know, I mean, I didn't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it was quite entertaining. I thought it was quite fun. Yeah, I couldn't really moan too much, and I really didn't even mind Vin Diesel in this apart. So I don't know. That's Bloodshot for you.
Shaun, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna begrudge you that final film you saw in the cinema. You don't know when the next time is gonna be. I'm gonna let you have that.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you. I haven't seen it. It was not something that was going to be high on my list of things to see. And apparently it's been announced today that Bloodshot is heading for an early on-demand release because they're like, yeah, just put it out there because it's they're like, just put it out there, let people see it because, well, what's the point of sitting on it? Right.
Wow, that's it, exactly.
Now, shall we get on to the final film that I saw in the cinema before?
Sure.
And so last week, Wednesday, I went to see this film and I was like, well, it's not going to be in the cinemas long anyway. I need to go see this because it's based on a TV show that I used to watch as a kid. I have very, very vague recollections of it. And this is Fantasy Island. So, Fantasy Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Fantasy, yeah. I can only think of the Bucks Fizz song. Fantasy Island, oh yeah, dreamed of true love, holding us. That's all I can think of, but yeah.
Oh, I did not even know that there was. I did not even know Bucks Fizz went there.
Yeah.
Did not even know they went there. So no, but this is a show that we got on TV in Nigeria, and this was pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was a 70s thing. I watched it in the 80s, and I never understood what the show was about. All I knew is that there was a guy who wore a white suit, and he had an assistant who was
the plane.
Exactly, the plane. Who was I don't know. I really don't know what is the proper word, so I apologize for anybody but he had dwarfism, who was from Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
At that time in the 80s in Nigeria, I didn't have a clue how to tell apart the people from different Southeast Asian countries, so we just thought he was Chinese. And called Tattoo, who also wore a white suit, and people would arrive, and all we knew was that every episode, these people would arrive at this island, and I didn't understand what was going on there, and then they would leave, or some of them might leave at the end of the episode. And I just sort of put it in the same category of shows as Love Boat and stuff like that.
Love Boat, yeah, that's what I was thinking of exactly. It's Love Boat.
Yeah, it's like Love Boat. So you have a couple of stock characters. People arrive at the beginning of the episode. They have their adventure. They leave at the end of the episode. Next week, another bunch of people arrive.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of Fantasy Island is that people arrive there, and they arrive there to live out whatever their fantasy is. And Mr. Rock, who was originally played by Ricardo Montalban.
Yes, Ricardo. Yeah,
Ricardo Montalban. And Tattoo, who was played by Hervé Villachez, I believe is how you pronounced it. And they would provide these fantasies for the people who arrive, but these fantasies will usually have a moral story in the be careful what you wish for. So Blumhouse, who have done some pretty good things recently, decided to take this film and decided to upgrade it and update it and make it more of a definite horror tinged thing. So the film kicks off, and now Mr. Rock is played by Michael Pena. Tattoo,
okay.
Yeah, Tattoo is nowhere to be seen. Whether they thought that would just be a little bit too, politically incorrect or something like that, but Tattoo's nowhere to be seen. So at the beginning, all these people arrive, and you could have, there are little bits where you feel, okay, yeah, actually, I can see what they're doing. This is a nice little nostalgic buzz, because at the beginning of the film, somebody does say, the plane. and it does make you go, I see what they're doing there. And the plane arrives, and in it you have these two brothers who have obviously been adopted, they're not biologically brothers, but their parents got married. You have these two brothers whose fantasy is that we just want to have it all and want to live like, big people. You have one person whose fantasy is that, I got bullied when I was a kid, and I want to bully the person who bullied me. There's a lady who shows up, played by Maggie Q, who what she wants to do is that she wants to her fantasy is not saying no to the person to the love of her life when he asks her to marry him. And there's one other person who wants his fantasy that he never got to enlist as a soldier because his mother wouldn't let him, and he wants to live out as a soldier for the day. And so you go in there and they start building all these fantasies and all that, and then the film gets bogged down in its own concept, and it tries to link everybody's thing together, and it gets to a point where it's just kind of shoddily made. They keep using the same jump scare over and over again, where you're like, oh, for goodness sake, we get it. There's something scary there. Move on. And I feel like so we were talking about, because Blumhouse also made The Invisible Man, and we were talking about how The Invisible Man was possibly a missed opportunity to do something, to say something about the world we live in now. And I feel like, essentially, Fantasy Island, they have little bits of this in the film, where the whole idea.
So is this a horror movie? Is this like a horror movie?
Yeah, it's a straight up horror movie. They make it more.
That's unusual. That's unusual for you to go watch one of those, Toast.
Yeah, it's Fantasy Island. I was gonna go watch it, but it's. I wanted to see what they'd done with it. I really wanted to see what they'd done with it, because I was like, Fantasy Island. I remember that being a family show. How do you make that a horror movie? That's one of the reasons why I actually went to see it. But I think there's. The whole idea of the Instagram life that everybody wants now, that nowadays people are on Instagram and they just want to sort of like go on there and they want to be able to have everything that they want, and they feel like they should have it. Yeah. There was an opportunity with this film to say something about that, to have that be like, sort of horror thing in there. And it goes stupid. It goes so stupid. I mean, this film sets up rules, and then Shaun, when you eventually see this, and you should see this because you will be ranting and raving your head off.
Do me rants.
Yeah, the thing is, like, honestly, there's bits in this film, right, where you're like, what the heck just happened? Like the film sets up rules and says, oh no, you only get one fantasy, and then totally destroys those rules and throws them out of the window. People do things that don't make any sense. When he actually comes out to say, oh, this is actually the bad guy, you're like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. it's no, honestly, okay, because so essentially, and quite frankly, me telling you what happens is not going to destroy your enjoyment or lack of this film whatsoever. So it turns out that one of the people who showed up in the plane at the beginning, that their fantasy was to punish everybody else who showed up. And you're like, wait a second, but if you did that, why the heck would you have done that to begin with? Why would you have put yourself in that situation? And they try and go, yeah, I had to do that to make it like, believable. And you're like, no, it's so stupid. And I think in a TV show that would have worked, because in a TV show that was like nice and family friendly, it's no big deal. But this just leaves you with so many questions. Like, hang on a second. So if your fantasy does involve somebody else, does that mean that they will just go and kidnap that person, bring them to the island, and then you can do whatever the heck you want with them? What about their life? What about their family? What about the police? What about?
Yeah.
And I think
a lot of unanswered questions.
Seeing as this thing is a horror movie, it shouldn't be a spoiler to say that everybody who arrives at the beginning of the film does not make it back home at the end.
Right.
So everybody who arrives on the plane does not leave on the plane, and you're just sat there going, but so what are the families? The families are just going to be like, oh yeah, they went on a holiday of a lifetime and didn't come back. No big deal. I'm like, what?
And presumably they pay to go to this fantasy island. So if these other fantasists say, I want to kill someone, but it's like, how does that their travel insurance cover that one?
Well,
That's it.
If they're going to kill another guest, it's like, I'm sure you can't say, go on holiday, my fantasy is to kill another one of your guests who's paying to stay with you. I'm thinking, okay.
yeah, this one was just all over. I mean, the film.
Can I just ask you something?
Yes.
You know Michael Pena?
Yes.
Was he like he was like the owner of the island, was he? Was he the one that put all the fantasies together?
He's like the curator of the fantasies, yes.
He's a curator, yeah, okay. Yeah, because I like Michael Pena. I think I like him in a lot of stuff.
He's good in a lot of stuff, and he has nothing to do here.
Okay.
He just shows up for the paycheck.
He has nothing to do here. I feel like this is the kind of film where he might have been a fan of the show when he was a kid, or it might have been that Ricardo Montalban was the only Hispanic person that he saw on TV when he was growing up.
Yeah.
And so for him, it meant something to play that character But
I want to wear that white suit.
Yes, I want to wear that white suit because he isn't like as he's kind of like a more disheveled Mr. Rock. He isn't like the sharp suit, everything like that. It's there's line readings that he gives, like places, smiles, everyone, that Ricardo Montalban used to say in the show. He says it, but the way they say it in the film is just like falls flat. So
okay.
Yeah, and honestly,
so he's not your classic Latin lover then that Ricardo Montalban used to be.
No, he isn't. He isn't whatsoever. He isn't whatsoever. And where the film ends, I mean, the final scene of the film, I saw this thing coming and I was like, oh, for goodness sake, no.
Just get on with it.
That is, oh my God, that is cheesy as anything. If you'd made a better film leading up to this point, it might have been clever. But now it is cheesy as anything. And the third act of this film, falls apart. It is like I've heard a term recently that I quite like, a raging bin fire. The third act of this film is a raging bin fire. It is kind of like nobody was paying attention to anything. Everybody just wanted to get home before coronavirus hit or something. I don't know, but the third act of this film is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You can sit down and try and make sense of it. It doesn't make any sense. Shaun, have fun with that. Yeah. When you finally get to see it.
Okay. Well, I expect at some point maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm quite glad I didn't see it. I did hear lots of bad things about it.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I think they are all warranted. It's very rare that you see a film just fall apart in front of your eyes.
Oh dear!
And you can't even spot the moment at which it fell apart. But you just sat down and all of a sudden this is falling apart. This has gone to pot. But yeah. So anyway, that is I think that is it. That is it for us on our farewell to cinema show.
Yes.
Oh Lord, yeah. This just makes me this makes me so sad.
Sad, isn't it?
It is really sad. It is really sad. I mean,
but maybe we could come up with some other idea.
Well,
we'll have to go back to the don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
Go back to they don't make them like they used to. Well, I think there's still some pretty good TV coming up soon. Like I know there's a show Noughts and Crosses on BBC at the moment. And
yeah, I'm waiting to have a few more under my belt before I watch that. I like to do a bit of a binge watch on those sort of things.
It's all available on iPlayer now.
Yeah, I might have to do that when I'm finished work.
Yeah, so it's but I might finish watching that by next week, and Superfan Nina has been like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? So I might actually just we might end up having a conversation with her and all that. But I'm actually quite liking this. You know how you were talking about the other podcasts we used to do, They Don't Make Them Like They Used to, where we walked around and we asked people what was the first film you ever saw at the cinema. We could just have a whole bunch of interviews where we ask people what was the last film you saw at the cinema.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
We've come full circle.
We have.
Oh, good lord. Honestly, yeah. You're right. We might not have cinemas for a while. I think they might just become like, a sort of like the theater. They might become more like a theater, like a novelty almost. But nah.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether, I don't know about you, Sharon, but I'm wondering what about those cards? Because if you carry on paying, and they go bust, you lose all those months, don't you?
Yeah. I've looked on their website. There's nothing on their website other than we have closed. And so I expect they don't know what they're doing yet. They're probably
that's
thinking, oh, heck.
I think I did see something. I think I did see something about that they're still gonna take out the money, but they're gonna, like, when it starts up again, you're gonna get like a refund thing. So
Okay.
That's totally complicated.
Yeah, I know, but I think what they're saying, the reason, what I'm thinking is
They
they're
don't know how
saying
long it's going to be off for.
that's it. But what I'm saying is that if they go bust, you're going to lose all that, aren't you?
Yes.
Are you going to keep paying yours or what? What are you going to do with yours?
Oh no,
I don't know. I don't know yet.
No, I don't either. But let me know, won't you?
Yeah. We'll be in on it together.
yeah,
Yeah, cool.
right.
Yeah.
So until
I think, guys.
So until next week, all that's left to say is a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Goodbye, cinema. We hardly knew you.